Shalom Aleichem for day 9 of Sfirat HaOmer. Mishnah Yomi is in Nazir, starting chapter 8. Shnei Nazirim. There were two Nazirites walking side by side. Sha'amar lahen echad, and now a third person, an observer, tells them, Ra'iti echad mekem, I saw one of you two, shenitma, had contact with ritual impurity. Maybe perhaps one of these two brushed up against a gravestone and they were unaware of it. Eniodea Eze Mekem. The observer says, I'm not certain which one of you two actually had contact with the impurity. So now we have a situation where one of the two was certainly impure and the other one is still pure. So what do? Megalchin, they do take their haircuts. And that's after the 30 days, of course. If this happened on day 20, then they have to count 10 more days. They take their haircuts. Mevi'in korban tuma. They bring the offerings of an impure nazir, meaning they'll bring a chatat and an ola, which are birds, and they'll bring an asham, vikarbon tahara, and also the offerings of a pure nazir, the chatat, ola, and shlamim. Ve'omer, and they're going to make a stipulation about these offerings. Each one will say, Imanihu atame, if I'm the one who got impure, korban tuma shali, the offerings of the impurity, those are mine. Korban tahara shalach. And the other ones are yours, belonging to the other man. Imanihu atahor, if I was the tahor one, korban tahara shali, then these three offerings of the tahor nazir, those are mine, the korban tuma shalach. And the other ones are yours. So with this stipulation, we've taken care of the korbanot of Tuma and the korbanot of Tahara. So one of these men is actually done with their Nazirut, and the other one is starting over because he got Tameh. We just don't know who's who. The Sofrin Shloshim Yom, they count another 30 days for their term of Nazirut, Mevi'in korban Tahara, and they bring in his partnership a korban Tahara. Ve'omer, and they say, Imani hu Tameh, if I was the one who originally got Tameh, Korban Tuma Shali. Then that Korban Tuma was mine 30 days ago. Korban Tahara Shalach. And these new Korbanot are yours. Or the ones 30 days ago, those were yours. Turns out, Vizay Korban Taharati. And these are the Korbanot for properly ending the Nazirut in purity. The Imaniu Tahor, if I was originally Tahor, I never got Tameh the first time around, Korban Tahara Shali. Then the Tahara ones 30 days ago were mine. Korban Tuma Shalach. The korban tuma was yours, v'zei korban taharatach, and these ones are also yours to end your nazirut. Now, so far so good. We've resolved the sfekos, the doubt. How about the Mishnah adds a sad twist of fate? Mate echad mehem. One of these two nazirim passed away before they could take care of resolving this doubt. Rabbi Yehoshua, as Rabbi Yehoshua says, what does the surviving nazir do? He might be tameh. What does he do? Yivakish echad min hashuk. He gets somebody off the street. You understand? Like a friend, a cousin, someone who's willing to help. Sheyidur kenegdo benazir, who will vow to be a nazir with him. The Omer, and the surviving of the original nazir, makes this condition. Im tamei hayiti, if I was the nazir that got tamei, hare ata nazir miyad, you are a nazir starting right now. Im tahor hayiti, if I was the nazir who did not get impure, hare ata nazir achar shloshim yom, then you'll be a nazir starting after 30 days. The Sofrin Shloshim Yom, and they count their 30 days of Nazirut together, because after all, this replacement nazir, he may be a nazir right now, we don't know. Mevi'in korban tuma v'korban tahara. They bring the offerings of an impure nazir and a pure nazir. Ve'omer, they make a stipulation, like we saw before. Imani hu atame, if I was the tameh nazir originally, korban tuma shali v'korban tahara shalach. The korbanot of the impurity, those are mine to fix that condition, and the korbanot of tahara are yours to end your nazirut that you just vowed. Imaniu tahor, if I never got impure originally, korban tahara shaliv, korban tuma besufik. Then the offerings of a pure nazir, those are mine, and the offerings of an impure nazir, well, those can come on a suffix. Meaning, because of a doubt, he could bring those offerings if there's a doubt if he contracted the tuma. Obviously, the new nazir doesn't need them. He's still tahar. V'sofrin shloshim yom, they count another 30 days. Mevi'in korban tahara, and they bring as partners one korban of purity. It's three offerings, one set of korbanot, rather. V'omer, they make this stipulation. Imaniu tameh, if I, the surviving nazir of the original pair, says, if I was the tameh one, korban tuma shali, 30 days ago, that korban tuma was mine, the korban tahara shaloch. And the offerings of the pure nazir, that was yours and ended your nazirut. Zay carbon taharati, and now this one is ending my Nazirut. If I was originally the pure Nazir, carbon tahara shali, then that was mine 30 days ago, carbon tuma bisafik. And the carbon tuma, we actually brought it in doubt because no one actually needed it. Vizayu carbon taharatoch. And this one, after 60 days in total, this is ending your Nazirut. Amarlo Benzoma. Benzoma says, Shkoyach, that's a great solution. Umisho mealo, but who's going to agree to all this trouble? Sheyudur kenegdo benazir, to become a Nazir with him, not just for 30 days, but for 60 days, and go through all this. Elamevi chatat, so rather the surviving Nazir, who might be impure, he brings the chatat ha'of ve'olat behema, and a elevation offering, which is an animal. Now, chatat ha'of can be brought on a suffix, on a doubt. If it's brought on a doubt, the Kohanim don't eat any of it. They would burn those parts instead. The Omer im tameheti, if I was the impure Nazir, hatat mehovati, this hatat bird is according to what's required for me. Va'ola nedava, and the elevation offering, that's a gift. Ve'im tahor hayiti, and if I was actually the pure Nazir, it was the impure Nazir who passed away. Ha'ola mechovati, then this olat behema, this counts towards my ola to finish my nazirut. V'chatat besafek, and this chatat of, well, it came on a suffix, we didn't really need it. V'sofer shloshim yom, and the surviving Nazir counts another 30 days. Mevi carbon tahara, brings all the karbanot of a pure Nazir. The Omer, and then the surviving Nazir makes this stipulation. Im tamei haiti, if I was originally impure, ha'ola harishona nedava, that ola I brought a month ago, that was a gift. V'zo hova, and this ola I'm bringing now is for the completion of my Nazirut. Im tahor, if I was originally pure, ha'ola rishona hova, that original ola was my obligation. V'zo, and this backup ola I'm bringing now 30 days later, it's a gift. V'zei sha'ar karboni, and here's the rest of the offerings too, the hatat and the shlamim that go along with the ola for the conclusion of a Nazirut. Rabbi Yehoshua. Rabbi Yehoshua has a question on Benzoma's proposed solution. Nimsazei mevi karbonotov lahatzoyim. He says, well, if you do this, you'll find he's bringing his karbanot halfway. He's bringing one of his karbanot a month early and the rest of them a month later. The Mishnah concludes, but the sages agreed to Benzoma. Really, Rabbi Yehoshua also agrees, explains the Gemara. He's just asking the question, to make sure that that's a kosher approach to spread the karbanot out to solve the problem of suffix Nazirut. It is actually amazing that Rabbi Yehoshua's suggestion was you're going to find, a cousin or a friend or somebody off the street to become a Nazir out of doubt for 60 days with you. So it's Am Yisrael really does sometimes step up to the plate. Maybe Rabbi Yehoshua is very optimistic about how much achdus we have amongst Am Yisrael, and maybe he's right. Let's go on to Mishnah Bet. Nazir shahaya tameh besafik. There's another Nazir who might have been exposed to ritual impurity. Umuchlat besafek. There's also a doubt if he was confirmed to be a mitzora. Now, if he was definitely a mitzora, he really truly had tzaraat, then he would have a mitzvah to shave his body. The mitzora has to shave his body twice to become tahor, to become pure. But if he's not sure he's a mitzora, it doesn't override the Nazir restriction on haircut. We talked about this in chapter 6. So now he's got sort of two potential problems. What can he do? Ochel bekodshim achar shishim yom. He cannot eat any kodshim until after 60 days, much like a mitzora is forbidden from eating kodshim, parts of sacrificial offerings, while he has that status. Vishote yayin, and he cannot drink wine, mitamei the metim, or attend funerals, achar meiv esrim yom, until after 120 days. So he remains a Nazir out of doubt for 120 days. He's possibly a mitzora for 60 days. Now, the Bar Nura, the Mefarshim, explain, after 30 days, he'll take a shave and a haircut, and if he was a mitzora, that's the first haircut to cure himself of the tzaraat. That's the start of that process. And then after 60 days, he'll have another haircut, and that could be, if he was a confirmed mitzora, well, we don't know, but if he was, that's the second haircut of tzaraat, and he's now out of tzaraat. He can eat karbanot again, but he's still a Nazir, because he might have been not a mitzvah at all, but he might have definitely been a Nazir. And then after day 90, he would take another haircut and bring karbanot of a Nazir tameh. Recall last Mishnah, they can be brought out of suffix, and that would fix the problem. If he was a Nazir, that was tameh. We don't know if he was tameh. And then finally, after 120 days, he can take the haircut and bring the karbanot of a Nazir tahor. He's certainly at that point out of his Nazir status. And the Mishnah comments at the end, Shetiglochat hanega, the haircut of nega, of negaim, that's tzaraat, doche tiglochat hanazir. That sort of comes first before the haircut of a Nazir. A Nazir who's also a Mitzorah, he's Vadai Nazir, he's certainly a Mitzorah, he has to solve the Mitzorah issue before he finishes up the Nazir status. Bisman shehi vadai. The Mishnah comments, that's when he's definitely a Mitzorah, not a doubtful Mitzorah. Aval bisman shehi suffik, when there's a suffik, there's a doubt if he's been confirmed to be a Mitzorah. Eino doche. Then the haircut of Mitzorah does not push aside the restrictions of Nazirut, meaning he's going to have to wait 30 days, observe Nazirut for 30 days before he could do the first haircut of Mitzorah to get out of its tzaraat, and then, as I explained, another 30 days for the second haircut of tzaraat, because again, he might have been a Nazir. I'm sorry, he was definitely a Nazir, and there's a suffix if he's a Mitzorah, and a suffix tzaraat does not push aside that restriction of Nazirut haircuts. Yashar kochachem, sei gesund.